Hi, everyone. It's Allison. Thank you for joining me for number 50 of Where I'm From. I can't believe it. And thank you, Maya, for joining me. I'm so
Thank you for
excited
having me.
to
I
talk
feel
with
so
you.
happy to be here.
Oh, thank you. Um, so, usually I begin with what I'm reading. I'm reading Acceptance, and you can always see the light in the book. Here it is Acceptance by, I think it's Emmy Neatfield. I'm not going to say it right, but the book is about, it's a memoir about her life. She grew up
Mhm.
with a mother who was a hoarder, and her mother started encouraging people to believe that she had mental health issues, her daughter, and she ended
Mm,
up institutionalized and then in foster care, and then ended up going
mm,
to Harvard and was a Google engineer. And the book is really so far to me about how we have to perform certain types of victimhood in order to be believed. And so for
wow.
me, it's really interesting about her. She's very open about being a white blonde woman and
Hmm.
how she got different treatment because of that.
Hmm.
Um, and she talked, I read a New York Times essay of hers where she talks about when she started obsessively exercising, how much positive feedback she got for that. But when she was cutting herself,
Right.
no,
Yeah,
no,
no,
no positive feedback.
no. Yeah.
Um, but that behavior comes from the same place.
Hmm.
And so I just think that's really interesting. What are you reading, Maya?
I'm reading, well, I didn't get into it yet because I'm waiting for my color tabs, but I'm about
Mm,
to get into A Good Girl's Guide to
okay.
Murder. I've heard great things about it. From what I could tell, it's about like this high school student. She gets murdered by her boyfriend in
Mhm.
like a murder suicide. And then this other student, a couple years later, is investigating the case again for a project. And then in her investigation, she notices there were a lot of clues that weren't really
Mm.
looked into. So it opens up a new case.
Oh,
And I'm
cool.
just so excited to get into it.
And are you going to do some kind of TikTok or anything about it
Oh my God.
after?
Definitely. I am staring to get into like little reviews and rants, and I'm so excited
Exciting.
to just give
That's
my
so
opinion.
exciting. Yeah. Even like when it's small, like for me, I
Hmm.
just on my Instagram just share things books I've liked and quotes I like it. Nothing like too deep, but it also is a good reminder for me, like what I've read and what I liked
Hmm.
about it. And because it's once you read a lot, it's harder sometimes to remember what you liked,
Right.
and
Right.
what was special about it. So
And I have so many opinions. So it's just like it
good.
has to come out somewhere.
I know, and it's hard sometimes to find other people who read. It's hard for
Right.
me and read the same things, that you
Hmm.
want to talk about. So I'm excited for you to share your opinions. I think it's great. Um, so do you want to say anything before you read your poem, or you just want to launch into it? Some people like to talk, some people like to just get it over with.
um, well, I just want to like start off by saying poetry, like I write a lot, and poetry is just I feel like one of my weaker ends of writing.
Sure, me too.
Um yeah, so it was just like usually I'm listening to music while I'm like writing. With this one, I had really had to sit down and just go through the last 20 years of my life and just like reflect. And it was just it opened a lot of like a lot with me, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm very excited to share it today,
I'm
and I
excited to
hope you
hear.
like it.
Of course, I'll like it. I read it already. I like it, so don't worry about that. I love it. I'm just I'm excited to hear you read it. It's always a different experience hearing someone read
Hmm.
it.
Okay, ready?
Mhm.
Okay. All right. I am from above ground pool, from Tropicana orange juice and Entenmann's. I am from the house on the corner, tiny, colorful, smelling like fresh cut grass. I am from bright tulips that only grow at the crack of spring. I am from movie nights and sensitivity, from Keith McDowell and Yasmin Herrera. I am from harmless teasing and bike rides, from you need to have self discipline and never give up. I am from questions of existential meanings and inner healings. I am from New York and the McDowells, from egg sandwiches and cucumbers, from the time my little brother gave our puppy an intervention, the award my father won from running a marathon. In the attic is a worn blue bin of memories, organized by my scattered brain mother, telling a series of childhood stories. I am from those Polaroids, dated and labeled, to be handed down to the next generation of dreamers.
Yay! Yeah. Do you want to talk more about your experience of writing it? I want to hear about your dog's intervention.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Yes. That was actually like a very fond memory. But like
Mhm.
writing it, it was like just going into like the little details,
Mhm.
which it feels like I had to be very specific in what I was talking about. And I even had to like it got to a couple points where I was stumped and I was just like the part where I had to talk about something I've always been told as a child.
Mhm.
And I've been told like many things.
Mhm.
And when I was little, adults used to tell me a lot of stuff, but since I was so small, I didn't really take it like it just went in one ear and out the other, like
Mhm.
kids. So I remember calling my brother up and being like, because me and him are just a year apart in age, and being like, what was something they always told us when we were smaller? And then
Mhm.
he was like, oh, well, I don't know. And I was just like, okay, you're not hope. But when I was younger, at the age of 5, I started martial arts and I did it for
Mhm.
8 years.
Mhm.
And one thing that I remember, and now I'm starting to take that advice in adulthood, is self discipline.
Mhm.
And at the time, I was just like, what even is discipline? But now, coming into my adult years and having a bunch of responsibilities, discipline is very important. And it all starts with you, like,
Yeah.
having to get up in the morning and just having your day planned out and just knowing what you need to get done and knowing what your limits and what you can take
Yeah.
and taking breaks, which are very
I
important.
was going to say, I think that's just as important. Like also
Hmm.
treating yourself with kindness. I think I do think it's important. This is a conversation I have with my children and other
Hmm.
people, grown-ups. It's like, because part of us feel like the world feels really chaotic and
Yeah,
unsure,
definitely.
like
Definitely.
we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know anything. So I think there is that temptation just be like, okay, I'm going to just check out. I'm
Hmm.
just going to read a book, eat something, watch a movie, whatever. But
Hmm.
then the world may just continue and everything might be fine. Um, so then if you did that the whole time, you're going to be pretty bummed about where your life is. So it's
Right.
like balancing these two feelings. And I think, I think for me, I've realized over the years that I have to acknowledge both feelings. Like,
Hmm.
yes, I don't know anything,
Hmm.
and that's scary, but I
Right.
also need structure and something to do every day and
Hmm.
to connect with people and to build something, even if it's
Right.
just for me.
Right.
And I think that was sort of like the journey, like this, even
Yeah.
whatever, if I'm just building it for me, that
Hmm.
gives my life meaning,
It's very important to
and
just
I
like,
need my life to have
yeah,
meaning.
exactly.
Otherwise, it's, I mean, it's too overwhelming for me to
Right.
contemplate.
Right. Having like a balance. I'm
Mhm.
just every day I'm just learning. It's just
Mhm.
that much important.
Mhm.
Um, but there was also like fun sides of like writing this poem, like
Mhm.
reflecting back on like the puppy.
Mhm.
Like I
Did the
remember when
intervention work? Because he could come to our house. We probably also
oh
need a
my
dog
God.
intervention.
No, it did not work. My
No,
brother was
they're not
9 years
very good
old.
listeners.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
It's like taking care of like a little baby, you
Hmm.
know?
Hmm.
My
Yeah.
brother, he sat in the puppy. I think his name was Rocky at the time. He sat down. My brother didn't think anybody was listening.
Mm-hmm.
I'm laying down, and all you hear my brother say is, "You gotta get your life together, Rocky. You gotta get your life together." I was just like, "What is going on?"
Oh man, that's
It
adorable.
was, it's so cute.
Hmm.
And I like we talk about it all the time, just like how my brother just was just so ahead of his years at just the ripe age of 8. And
That's sweet.
it another thing I this poem made me think about was just the process of like when I got to the part of religion
Mm.
and what really is my religion, because I prefer to call myself spiritual and
Hmm.
just finding why am I here?
Mhm.
and what's my purpose and what do I plan to achieve my time here on earth. And at 21 years old, I still can't tell you, but
No,
you
I
know,
don't know when
it,
that changes.
I like,
It's
do we ever know?
gradual, but even then you still don't, you just pieces fill in
Mhm,
not a negative way, certain doors close. I don't see
mhm,
that as a negative because I was overwhelmed with choice.
mhm.
Certain things probably aren't. I'm not going to be in the Olympics. That's done. That option's not on the table.
Right,
Um,
right.
so certain things just kind of move on, but a
Mhm,
lot of things stay in play. I think,
mhm.
it's all about your attitude too, some of it.
Right.
But
And
yeah,
like,
don't expect to know at 21.
and being writers is you create your own realities and you dive into whatever you want to create, and it feels like you live different lives
Mm.
in just one life. And that's what I love about creating. It's just, you could live anywhere you want to. You create your own path and your own world, and it's just creating, I think, is one of my purposes
Mhm.
here,
Mhm.
you know. A lot you live I feel like I live a lot in my head, it
Mhm.
just artists just need to like create and go out and just do something with what they think about.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think it's good that you have that attitude that you just want to do it regardless of, if like the
Mhm.
powers that be think it has worth, because I think that can get in the way. It definitely got in my way. It's like,
Mhm.
oh, what if other people, but really it's you're right.
Right.
It's the act of creation that's so
Mhm.
important. It's like
The
you
best
got to
part.
just do that part. And then the
Right.
other part, you'll figure it out, but it's
Right.
important to not get 10 steps ahead. That's something I've learned over time. Like just
Mhm.
be with the creation and not to doomcast the future. I
Right.
just feel a little bit of that. So, um,
Mhm.
because it gets in the way of the best
Right.
part,
And one
you know?
thing that you've taught me is to like just create your art. And
Mhm.
there's always going to be somebody listening. There's always going to be there to listen to your art. And it doesn't matter what they say, just create what you want to create. And that's something that I'm starting to really like recognize. And now I want to post content of me ranting about stuff I care about and about art. I'm
Yay!
excited.
Yay! I
Mhm.
mean, yeah, there's a lot out there. Why shouldn't we be doing it? So
Mhm.
I mean, because I think I used to feel like, oh, there's a lot out there. No one needs my voice. Like there's already so much. What's the point of what
Mhm.
I have to say? And then I
Right.
think it's like flipping the switch. Like there's so much out there. Like okay, I'll jump in. You
Mhm.
know, why is it getting in my way? It's
Right.
ridiculous. But yeah,
Right. Mhm.
you can. I mean, I can find a way to get in my way, no matter what the circumstances. Yeah, so
Right.
it's like reframing it. So anything, and so when you were talking about specifics, something I find interesting and often talk to people about is, do you feel like that changed sort of your perspective? Like for me, I found it very liberating being asked for specifics. It was like, oh, this is a really, and I think that it has sort of permeated like my other writing, like that I am thinking about those things and feeling like they're more accessible now.
Mhm. Mhm.
Where before I just like, oh, I don't think about that
Mhm.
stuff. So
Mhm.
what did it affect you, like thinking of those specifics, or did it make you
Definitely. I
differently?
feel like it's really just attention to the detail that really makes up a person.
Mhm.
And like just the idea of orange Tropicana orange juice, just it always in the refrigerator.
Mhm.
And like everybody around me hates orange juice. I love orange juice. And I think just that specific orange juice is really what me and my dad share in common. We
Mhm.
we just love that brand, and just thinking about it, just it's more than just like a drink you drink in the
Mhm.
mornings. It for at least for me, it really makes me reflect back on my relationship with my father and how we, as much as I don't like to admit it, we're more alike than
Mhm.
um, I make myself out to be. So,
I think
it's
that goes
it's.
on, but I think that age is pretty prime
Mhm.
for me with my mom. People would say we looked alike, but not look alike. We do.
Right,
It's undeniable that we
right.
look alike. So,
And it's those specifics that really make up who you are in your environment, where we're from, being from New York, having a a house on the corner with tulips. That's like, it's just attention to the detail that just one little detail could just change who you are as like an entire person, as an entire being. So it was just amazing to just reflect back and just double down on where am I from? Who am I?
Mm-hmm.
What do I have to give? And what's next? You know, kind of thing. It was great.
I love that. I invite you to write one in like 10 years and I'll still be doing this and you come back five
Oh my
years.
God.
Like, cause
Yes.
cause I think for me listening to you talk, like you're 21, you're a senior in college, like
Hmm.
how different my poem would have been at 21 than it is now. And also
For sure.
how many people I knew in my life at that time who had a sense of where it was from.
Hmm.
Where now people don't know. Like we've moved on.
Hmm.
It's about our kids or our careers or people. And part of what I've loved so much about doing this is learning that about people because I
Hmm.
love it. Because I do think it matters what
Right.
because it's like the foundation. Like even if you're not
Exactly.
living there anymore,
Hmm.
but you are. You maybe you're on the third story or fourth it's
Hmm.
still like there. And
Hmm.
I find it so fascinating. And I've as people share their poems, the things they have, you are not the first above ground pool, so I heard that and I smiled because it is a certain image, right? It's a
Hmm.
certain experience having an above ground pool. I didn't even know what those were until I don't know, I was like a teen, maybe college, because
Mm.
I mean there are them here, but not as much, I don't think.
Hmm.
And certainly not where I grew up because it was very country club. So um so I was like, oh yeah, that's a really, and my kids, like one of my kids is like, we should get one, because he just wants any kind of pool at all.
Right. Hmm.
Doesn't matter what it is. And even if
Right.
it's a tiny little above ground pool, that you just like
Right.
stand in.
Right.
I don't, that doesn't seem fun to me, but it seems fun to him. How big
Right.
was
I like
yours? Was it
it's like it's
huge?
huge actually. Like my mom, I guess because when I was like 9, I constantly wanted to go into the pool in the summer.
Mhm.
So we would have to go out to the community pools. And I guess she just got fed up with it.
Tired
It
of
was
it?
just like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get you a pool. So I was like 4'11", trying to stand up in this 5 feet water, just like living my best life. No one could tell me anything. It was I was living the dream.
That's a great image. Is that what you're wearing a swimsuit in your picture? Like you're wearing a
Oh,
swim shirt,
it,
right?
so that is actually from one of my, because I back when I did martial arts, I was
Mm.
competitive fighting back then. So that was
Hmm.
just the outfits I would wear. That was actually right after
Oh.
a match I had at Battle of the Beach. That's what the
Hmm.
tournament was called. So that was just me because
You look
actually
happy.
fun. I was
Yeah.
because I kind of faked an injury because we were on the beach and there was like a carnival happening. And I was like, my leg hurts, Dad. I don't wanna fight. I can't fight. As soon as we made it outside, I'm running to the slide. So that was me getting away with not fighting.
Oh man, that's a really childhood thing too. Like, and you kind
Right.
of know it as a parent, like,
Hmm.
you know. But I have been wrong. There are a few times where it's really real, and I'm like, was
Hmm.
it?
Right.
But that feeling of like, oh, I know this is gonna go away once this situation goes away.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um,
Right.
but also listening to that because you don't want your child to have to further actually do it,
Hmm.
be injured in order to get
Right.
out of the thing. So,
Right.
um, oh, that's funny. That's very sweet. That's nice though. So did your dad call you on it or was he just like letting you be?
I think he knew I was faking it, but I he was just like, she's on the beach. They're like, she's a kid.
Yeah.
Let her have her fun.
Hmm.
And now thinking back, it's a very fond memory. I remember that day so clearly.
Hmm.
Um, and I remember my dad setting up the camera, and he was just like, "Oh, like smile for the picture." And I remember my eyes tilted up, and I was looking at
Hmm.
a plane, and then he snapped it at that moment. So that day is very fond, and I love this exercise,
Oh,
and the
I'm
idea
so
of
glad that you joined me. And I want to just like say, you are my youngest guest. I have always wanted some younger people to join me, but I
Mhm,
think it's a little intimidating because before
yeah,
we began, you were like, I don't know if I'm that interesting. And I think there is sort of this bias in our culture that when people are younger, they're not interesting. I don't agree at all. But I think young people carry that with them. I did.
mhm,
It was like, oh,
mhm,
well, I haven't done that much, which is like, I mean, I've done plenty of things, and so have you.
right.
And so
Mhm.
I applaud your bravery that you
Thank you
just
so
did it.
much.
And I'm glad you're here. And I'm very
Mhm.
grateful to Michael, who is going to do a poem next month, I think, for connecting us. Yeah, I
Oh,
was like, you should join me, Michael, because there haven't been
yes,
many men either. There's been one.
yes.
And
I'm the first one tuning in.
yeah, and he's still working on it. He's having a bit of a challenge. He was like, this
Oh,
is harder than I, and it's funny
mhm,
because Michael and I met in a writing program. So it's, that's our
mhm,
background together. And it's like,
mm.
yeah, this is challenging. Like, just let it be not good. It's fine. It'll still be good.
I cannot wait for that. I
I
cannot.
know, me too. I enjoy reconnecting with people who I knew sort of when I was your age,
Mm,
or like, because
mhm,
my friend who's going to be here next, we are still friends, but we met in
mhm,
college.
mm,
And so I know her. It's
mhm,
interesting, all the different. So like not knowing someone at
mhm,
all, knowing them a bit, and then
mhm,
someone you know well, but then what they decide to share might
mhm.
not, it's really,
Right,
it's fast. I think it's so fascinating. And that Georgette Lyon is such a generous, lovely person. And that
right.
she, spoke to me and comments on these posts sometimes. And it just means the world to me. And I would say that I would be like, oh, well, I'm not interesting enough for her to care about, you know what I mean? Like that
Mhm,
thinking
right.
doesn't really change, and it's not useful. So
Mhm.
you are interesting, and you're brave, and any opportunity or thing I offer, you're like, sure. And I just think that's amazing,
Yeah,
and
it's
I
just
want to
like
acknowledge it and how
right.
powerful it
Just
is.
trying new things and just
It's so
seeing,
good for you.
it's right. And it's like at your 20s is the time, the right time to just go out and just do stuff and see what works, see what like this is the right time to just experience because later down the line is when I feel like the heavy hitters come and the real responsibilities. And I just want to just experience like live my best life now and just see what the world has to offer and just step out of my comfort zone.
Hmm.
That's the idea,
Hmm.
at least that I want to try to do for myself.
Hmm.
And we can only grow once we step out of that little box. So
Yeah, a lot of
doing this
growth
poem,
happens in that little like
yeah,
space where you're
it,
kind of getting a little prodded. You're a
right,
little uncomfortable. I don't think we need to be so uncomfortable, but like,
right,
where you're a little bit,
baby steps.
yeah. And yeah, you don't have to jump out of a plane. But I think that's really, and I want to say there are more responsibilities, but I think kind of taking it back to you talking about writing and all the ideas we have, like that is a place where I can still take risks and I can try
Mhm.
things. That is what's so fun about it, is that even as I age and I do have responsibilities in a life, there is still this space that is endless,
Right,
that is boundaryless.
right,
And that's our imaginations and our creativity, and that never changes. And
right,
it's a relief.
right.
It's nice to, I don't want to have it all figured out. I think when I was younger, I did. And because I felt like I had nothing figured out.
Oh my
But
god, it's like a terrible feeling, isn't it? It's just like
yes.
every day, it's like am I having like a quarter life crisis? And I'm like, slow
Yeah.
down, Maya,
Yeah. Well, I
slow
mean,
down.
we talked about it a little, but like
Hmm.
yeah, being a senior in college is really, I think, kind of terrifying. Because everyone's like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What's next? What, you're like, I don't know,
Yeah, I
you
don't have
know?
the answers.
Yeah. Especially if you're doing something that's not like laid out. I mean, honestly, even if it is laid out, sometimes that doesn't work out, which I think
Hmm.
is very upsetting to those people. They're like, no, I did
Hmm.
all the things.
Hmm.
I did steps 1 through 50 to get
Hmm.
here, and then that
Hmm.
doesn't work out. Um, but yeah, it's a lot of, and when I was a theater major and I did writing as well, and
Hmm.
the jokes about, oh, so you got a degree in waitressing, okay. I mean, that may be the case, but you're not helping.
Right.
you know? And the way
Right.
they always just said it, like, and I think they said it, to be honest, more to women than men. I don't think they said that
Of
to my
course.
male counterparts as much.
Hmm.
And it was just so condescending. And I think
Right.
people can really be that way with younger people, which I think is a shame and gross, and I don't like it. But you know, it's like,
Right.
I mean, no, it's a degree in theater.
Hmm.
I
Like,
understand that I might waitress.
right.
I didn't study that.
Right.
So,
Like,
I did other things. Like I read
right.
a lot, wrote a lot, performed a lot, did all these things. I didn't like, I mean,
Mhm.
maybe I wish I had taken a course in waitressing. That might have been helpful to me when I then tried to get those jobs, but I
Mhm.
did not. So it was just, I think people can be, especially now, I think with the economy, like more openly in flux.
But I also just get this kind of vibe from people who don't really take that artistry route, that they wish they opened themselves up to more avenues. And just like some people that actually like to create music on the side, wish they would have like focused more on that.
Mhm.
Or at least from what I've heard from
Like
um
regrets, you mean?
mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's like at least I could say with me and people like me, it's we're going after what we love
Mhm.
as rather than going after what we think society wants of us.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, whatever happens, I think I could just really appreciate that, I took a shot on what I wanted to do rather than what society was telling me I should do.
Mhm.
And I can always be grateful for that.
Yeah, and for having the
Mhm.
opportunity to do that,
Yes.
you know,
And
like that you
thank you for
can.
giving me a platform to
Oh,
just
please.
share my art.
You're so welcome. I am thrilled. I'm really happy you joined me. And do you have any other? I had a thought when you were talking, but I lost it because I became engaged in what you were saying. So, did you have
Mhm,
anything else you wanted to? Oh, I wanted to share this funny story that when I quit a job once,
mhm,
that was bad. It was like not a good situation. And
mhm.
one of my bosses said to me at the time, "Oh, you're so lucky to be so young and have everything at it. You could just like go be a waitress." I don't know why that was always the thing, but
Yeah.
she was a very successful, wealthy person. She could have
Mhm,
also quit her job and done whatever she wanted to do. And I
mhm,
remember at the time being like, you also could do this.
mhm,
And that sort of thing where it's like, oh, you're young, you have all the like, I do agree that when you're young, it's there,
mhm,
but also, you want to like carry that hope or
mhm,
that like that sort of choosing something that brings you joy. You can always do that,
mhm.
especially when you're a millionaire, which is what I wanted to say to this woman. It's
Yeah.
like I'm quitting my like, not, I mean, it paid and I had health benefits, so that was great.
Mhm,
But it's like I wasn't making tons of money. So
mhm,
it wasn't, so that's what she was saying. Like, oh, it's not a huge leap for you to quit this job and then go do something shitty, basically to
mhm,
be creative. Where for her,
mhm,
she'd have to give up her Porsche and her whatever. But it's like,
mhm.
but she could give up her Porsche and
Right.
do what she wanted to do. Um, so,
Mhm.
oh, letting me know. Um, um, but obviously I'm a fan of yours, and I'm excited to see what you continue to create. And
Oh,
I'm grateful. I know I'll look back and think Mya McDowell was here when she was only 21. Look at what she's doing now. And people used to say those kind of things to me, and they felt like pressure, but
mhm,
it's not pressure. Whatever you do
mhm.
is great, even if it's
Thank you
whatever it
so
is.
much.
So
Thank you so much.
it's
I
just me saying
appreciate
I
it.
believe in you, and I'm
Thank
excited to see
you.
what you do. Not
Thank you so
no
much.
strings. That it
Oh,
must be
I
easier
love
for
our
me.
conversations. It
No,
makes me feel so inspired. I like want to go
oh,
write something.
it makes me feel inspired too. So I want you
Mhm.
to know it really does, and like I say, like we can all continue to dream and do things. It's not just the province of the young. We all
Absolutely.
have that, and that's the
Mhm.
beauty of creativity. It doesn't go away. It's here with
Absolutely.
us. Um,
Right.
So
It's
any
like a
last thoughts? Yes, it is. And
buzzing
it
noise.
and it's like it's satisfying. And I think kind of the more you do it, the more it comes,
Mhm.
right? Like for
Mhm.
me, it's like, oh, I want to do this thing too and this thing. And for years I didn't want to do anything. I just felt I was in that space of like, what's the point? And
Hmm.
it's nice to feel much more like, oh, well, the point is that I enjoy it. That's enough.
Hmm.
That's actually enough.
Right.
um, okay, so where can people find you? Do you have a TikTok handle?
For right now, I have a Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
Mya McDowell, and I'm in the process of making my own YouTube channel with its TikTok counterpart.
Nice.
And I believe I settled on it's going to be called Mya Rants. So stay tuned. I might post something on my Instagram about it, and I can't wait to just start that journey.
I'm so excited. Well, thank you so much for joining
Mhm.
me, Maya. It is always a pleasure to see you. And
Thank you so much for having me. I had such a great
oh,
time.
good. Yay. Okay, bye,
Bye.
everyone.